Morning. I should probably wear my headset. Can you hear me now?
Hello, hello.
Yeah, you're really staticky.
I hope you can hear me. Can you?
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, Jay sounds normal. You have a really hot mic.
Talking about George, I think there's something wrong with the audio.
Ihor, it sounds like your mic is like all the way to the right.
Okay.
Ow.
Hey, Ihor, can you do me a favor? Can you say breaker, breaker, or something like that? Because that would be hilarious. Trucker talk. Oh my gosh. George, it's been a while. How have you been?
Good. How are you? I was just lamenting that we hadn't hung out in a while.
I know. I'm tired, man. I was up midwifing 11 puppies all night. So.
Oh my God. For the break, I actually drove past you. I went to New York City for the break.
Aww.
So that was 2 10-hour drives.
Mm.
When do you get to KubeCon? Do you get there early-ish?
I get there. Good grief! When do I get there?
All right. We should definitely hang out.
I should know these things, and I don't. Oh my gosh, that's next week.
Yeah.
My poor wife is going to be saddled with 31 chickens, 14 dogs. Oh my gosh,
I love dogs.
5 ducks, 2 cats. So I get there, I guess, in the evening on Monday.
Okay, I get there Sunday night. All right, so Paris and I will find you.
Good.
And Ihor, and then we'll find some time to hang out.
Dude, Monday night we should totally have like a hangout. That would be the best.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're gonna have quorum today, and nobody wants to hear me flap my gums about.
Yeah, I'm mostly here just to listen in to see your. I don't really have any strong opinions about PMing anything.
I do.
I would have gotten dressed up if I would have known Dan was going to be here.
I know.
You totally should have. I'm disappointed in you so much.
Yep. And disappointed Dan. There are a few things that are worse than having Dan disappointed at you.
All the time. My whole life.
Is it better now?
Yeah, that is much better. Yeah.
Okay.
Except now you sound kind of depressed. Ihor, are you okay?
I'm okay, yeah.
Okay. When you're cranked up to 11, it's hard to sound depressed.
Yeah.
Okay, so after all this this fun, witty banter, it looks like we're not going to have quorum. So, but I will just give a quick update. I mean, just so people in the room know what's going on. This is actually really exciting. Today, and in roughly a couple hours, I'm going to be facilitating the SIG Cluster Lifecycle Planning event for 110. And we're going to use that template that I had sort of shopped around for a while and see sort of how it works. The upshot of how that's working is that we're behind the ball because the KEP process is being so slow to get off the ground. I think partly because with Caleb, moving over to Google and all that stuff, he was sort of the main proponent, and we've just had too many things going and not enough time to do it. So, But that'll start kicking off, and this will at least lay the groundwork so that when KEPs are real, that we know what the implementation cycle around them looks like. So what that also means is that for the features process, and Ihor, this is probably most important for you, is that it will remain largely the same for 110, except for Sig cluster lifecycle, which doesn't really do the features process the same way anyway. I mean, they kind of do, but this will mean that they're kind of an outlier, but it shouldn't be too impactful. And I will be personally managing all that stuff just to make sure that it stays smooth and that they're in the loop with you and all the things you're doing. And of course, that presumes Eeyore that you're still going to do features lead, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. You could hand that off to somebody if you need to or want to.
Yeah, even being non-features lead for the release, that doesn't mean that I won't be focused on the features lead. So yeah.
So there's that. I will let everybody know sort of how it went and what we learned and what the template needs to be tweaked and all that stuff. And the other thing I had on the agenda was just that we need to figure out, is the whole stabilization feature release thing, is that even a real thing anymore? It feels like it's not, but.
I was going to ask because I haven't been paying attention this release. Like, I really only pay attention in the second half of the release cycle, which is horrible.
Well, releases have become their own animals. They sort of, they wake up in the morning and they go in the bathroom and they comb their hair and brush their teeth and they do whatever they're going to do. And we don't really have a lot of say in it anymore. It's more that we want to guide people to follow best practices to not avoid technical debt or to, put in architectural initiatives that aren't supported or funded. So there's definitely best practices around what we should be doing, but in terms of everybody standing up and high-fiving around this being a stabilization release or a feature release, it's just simply not. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's supporting it. They may support it in general terms, but when it comes down to actually what gets in the release, it just doesn't happen. So, so we need to. I think that the KEP process will help with that. I think the feature branching ideas that Brian has are going to help with that. Moving stuff out of core will help. So there's a lot of things underway that are chipping away at the fact that we have this core technology that is probably doing too much for what it should be. And Brian is, and Joe and folks are all over that. So I feel like those problems are in good hands. We just need to continue doing the work. And maybe we just put the stabilization features thing to bed for now and just say that that's not a thing.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's just if we can't get buy-in for it, either then we need to escalate it or just drop it for now and try to attack it from a different angle.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that if I had to pick one of those two options, I would say just drop it. Because I do worry about the steering committee becoming inert through trying to do too much. And people have said, oh, we're frustrated with the steering committee because, it doesn't feel like much is getting done. And my opinion, which is pretty contrary, is like, I would much rather see the steering committee not go like way overreaching and doing things that they shouldn't be doing. I'd rather see them handle a handful of things really well and move on, as opposed to, trying to adjudicate and rule and thou shall do this and thou shall not, because what that'll do is it'll disenfranchise a lot of people in the community. We definitely don't want to do that.
I find myself constantly reminding people what the steering committee is supposed to do and what it's not supposed to do.
Right.
Like there's no, like, you don't need to get the steering committee's approval to basically do anything. And the steering committee members themselves will tell you that, but there's this kind of, just like this human thing where it's like, well, that's the body in charge,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's just we should just keep harping on that over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the steering committee is incredibly hard for people to find the time to do stuff and all that. I mean, it's just not a good body to have, small claims court type discussions. Those have to be like Supreme Court type discussions.
Yeah. So I do have a question about KEPs. Do you know so this got brought up at an internal meeting yesterday. Someone was like, hey, so what's the deal with that? And I started asking around. It feels like a lot of people are confused. Is
Why am I
there
not
like
surprised?
specifically at the contributor summit? Like it's like I'd love to tell somebody, hey, someone's gonna spend 10 minutes and tell everybody what this is, and then kind of get a feel for the crowd, or
Yeah, I mean,
will there be mass hysteria, or will people clap, kind of thing.
I think it's so abstract that it's hard for people to understand even what we're saying. And that was a lot of what drove me to do this process around how the work gets into the code base. Because I feel like until it gets to that point, it's just a bunch of ivory tower, like mumbo jumbo, like, oh, okay, so stuff's in a document and we track a document and it's multi-feature or multi-milestone. And those things are just very abstract. So maybe I can't remember. Ihor, we have the Sig PM time, right? That we're going to talk at the KubeCon. Is that right? We still have that slot.
I believe so. I will let you know tomorrow. I'm working on the schedule with Paris tonight. So.
Okay. Yeah, we should. If you can carve out some time somehow, somewhere for that. Hopefully not when I'm sitting twiddling my thumbs at the Microsoft booth.
Yeah.
Which I'll let you know if that's the case.
Yeah,
but,
I think we'll all have booth duty that we're trying to negotiate.
But I think that is something that is so huge and so impactful to everything, but the rollout is in my opinion not going well. And it's hard because that isn't my thing. I want to support Caleb in that, and I think that it's hugely valuable and I think it's important, but I can't. I'm oversubscribed already, so to handle that on top of the features implementation process is just like too much.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see Caleb. So it's my understanding that Paris told me that he's going to take a few weeks to like figure out his job and stuff. So
okay,
like I'm counting on Caleb being gone from Kubernetes for like a month.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then again, I'm not clear on how much of his existing new job will be Kubernetes and how much will be like GKE. So I figure we should ideally what I was kind of hoping is someone at the summit would say, okay, this is what a KEP is going to be. This is a template for adding hello world for whatever. Okay, you can all now stop just random PRs on the community repo that are all kind of different formats and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. In a nutshell, that's precisely it. And providing some metadata around the status of the big thing. I mean, it's an epic if you've ever worked in an Agile shop. It's nothing more than that. And epics, often will span many different features or implementation milestones. And
I just wouldn't describe it that way. Because
no,
if you say that,
either.
you'll hear people groaning. And
I know, and it's like, yeah, I know. People, Agile is like that time where you drink like wood alcohol instead of thinking it was a glass of water.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like, I want to tell people, hey, if you just follow the pull requests on the community repo, you can kind of figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
But that's too, like, you have to be like Brendan Burns to like figure that out. It just like, and like Joe's always like, I have no idea what's going on. When are we going to figure this out? And I'm like, I don't know. You wrote it. Dang. So I don't know. I'm kind of hoping from my perception is that like when we get a bunch of these people in the room, someone will complain about something and then it will turn into a thing and then we'll be able to like nail it down.
Yeah, I think that's probably the life cycle around this, solving this problem. Okay, so I guess the takeaway from this is if you can get me some time to just do this is sort of where we're headed in terms of caps. And maybe I don't even go into grand detail about it, but at least let people know that this is afoot, and they will at least have some warning.
Right, because
speaking of the Caleb.
All right. I was going to say, even if it is Caleb needs help, we have ideas, we have stuff written down. We just need someone to finish it.
Yep, that's it. Caleb, you're looking super fly, man. Yeah. I don't know if you're there or if you can hear us. You're quiet. Oh, on the bus. Yeah, we were just talking about the dire need for a KEP, some sort of KEP rundown at KubeCon for people. Like, this is a huge thing that people don't even know exists really for the most part, and it's so impactful. And my whole like value delivery thing is sort of stalled until KEPs are more real. So, it would be ideal if you were able to help figure out how we best communicate that to the wider community. And KubeCon would be a nice opportunity, but that's something we can talk about when you're not on a bus.
I hope we'll have enough time, at least some slot during Contributor Summit.
Yeah.
That process and everything related, because
Okay, so I'll take an item to see if we can.
yeah, because like all the people who can be involved into the CAP process, they definitely will be at the
Yeah.
Contributor.
Yep.
I
That's
hope that enough people have upvoted our proposal from myself, Aparna, Jace, and Craig Box regarding roadmap, features, and everything related. And CAP is one of that everything related items that we are going to discuss there. So yeah, we can use this slot if it will be selected. If it won't be selected, so it would be great to find a different slot to discuss that during the contributor side.
Yeah. And I do worry about the whole roadmap, like people trying to come up with a roadmap in this thing. That just feels like a huge anti-pattern to me.
The whole contributor summit feels like an anti-pattern this time around.
Yeah.
Like they said, hey, you guys have to have this. And I'm like, well, who's going to go? And that, I don't know. So Paris and I are going to have a little session off to the side. And I'm going to ask around with people and get, like, it feels like we could be a lot more productive planning this way ahead of time and with like some structure, as opposed to get everyone in the room and then have an unconference. Like, it felt like I was very surprised when they were like, you have a month to plan this. I was like, okay.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, everyone's flights were already booked. Everyone had to change their travel. I was like, but that's neither here nor there. But yes, that's something that I would like to fix to make it more formal.
Cool.
Anything else to discuss right now? No?
I don't think so.
Sweet.
Perfect.
All right, getting back to work. I will see you gentlemen next week.
Yep.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Great, thanks.